The next wave is coming. In expansion and realignment, what's at stake for the Power 5 conferences? Welcome to episode 212 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you need just a little bit of extra college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the night, subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Let's not waste any more time. Ross Dellenger of SI lays it all out in an article just released this morning. Let's get to it. Let's not waste any more time. The next wave is coming. It's not a matter of if, it's when. When will it all implode once again? The next wave is coming, expansion, realignment, and what's at stake for the Power 5 conferences. How do the Big 12, the Pac-12, and the ACC keep up while generating millions less than the SEC and the Big 10? Some believe all three of them cannot coexist successfully. Again, Ross Dellenger of SI 2 weeks ago inside a lavish resort in suburban Phoenix, down a long hallway and 2 flights of stairs. Executives from 2 conferences inch closer to further altering the landscape of college sports. They talked about expansion. Of course, we know this was the Big 12 and the Pac-12 having meetings just feet apart, often sparring publicly with one another. The 2 sets of league administrators separately met behind closed doors like a pair of boxers secretly preparing for the big fight against each other. One corner was the Pac-12, an array of broad-based universities betrayed by their Los Angeles defectors and now at the mercy of media networks to prevent further departures. That's the money shot number 1 in this article. Pac-12 now at the mercy of media networks to prevent further departures. These Pac-12 schools do not want to separate from each other. They want to stay together, but it's all about the deal. What can they get in their media deal? Back to the article. In the other corner is the Big 12, an expanding group of universities spanning from Utah to Florida, with a brash commissioner whose aggressive nature makes him a territorial threat to the West. The juxtaposition of the scene was fascinating. A mere 20 feet of carpet separating the 2 meetings within a labyrinth of convention space at the Hyatt Regency Gainey Ranch. Within the meeting rooms, each league's strategy unfolded ahead of their proverbial territorial battle. Just paces from the Pac-12's gathering, the Big 12 leaders discussed a list of expansion targets, 4 of them residing in the Pac-12: Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah. Other targets are from a variety of leagues: San Diego State and UNC, even from the Mountain West. UConn, which is independent in football and in the Big East in basketball, and Memphis from the American. There are others too, such as Colorado State, SMU, and Fresno, but they seem further down the pecking order. Remember, we're talking about the Big 12 right here, right now, with this list. It could be an active summer, says one administrator with knowledge of the discussions. With a near year-long realignment buzz surrounding these 2 conferences, will Pac-12 members defect to the Big 12? It's entering what appears to be its final chapter. Over the next 30 to 60 days, more clarity is expected as the Pac-12's new television deal is finalized. Will it last 30 to 60 days? But this is a small piece of a larger puzzle. The Big 12 versus Pac-12 territorial fight is one of the battle in a realignment war that has waged for decades. While the most recent moves were about the consolidation of football's most valuable brands, Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, and USC and UCLA to the Big 10, the next wave is about survival. To be in that room, to be able to be in that room in the 2026 college football playoffs that we talked about here at Peek Around the Corner, to be in the room, to be able to vote on it, to be impactful and what college sports is going to look like in the years ahead. Yes, this next wave is all about survival. How do the Big 12, Pac-12, and ACC keep up competitively while generating millions less than the college football's 2 behemoths? Some believe all 3 of them cannot coexist successfully. The next big issue is, can we keep the perception of college athletics as involving all of us? Asked Notre Dame Athletic Director Jack Swarbrick, or does the Big Ten and the SEC become college athletics in terms of popular perception? And if they do, how does that influence shape of the future of college athletics? The ACC. This week in Amelia Island, administrators from the ACC gather for their own spring meetings. More frank discussions are expected about the growing revenue gap between it and the SEC and the Big Ten. Handcuffed by the ESPN broadcasting contract and the grant of rights that extends another 13 years, ACC schools could find themselves more than $30 million behind the SEC and the Big Ten in annual distribution by the time 2026 arrives. They are not alone, as the data and analytics company Navigate showed in projections last year. While the Pac-12 and the Big 12 fight for the Western expansion battle, the ACC is in many ways fighting internally. A subset of 7 schools, money shot number 2 in this article. A subset of 7 schools, people are going to be talking about this paragraph in the days and weeks ahead. A subset of 7 schools in the 14-member conference have coalesced over what many have them described as an untenable situation. Officials from the 7 schools led by Florida State and Clemson have met a handful of times over the last several months with their lawyers examining the grant of rights to determine just how unbreakable it is. Per the grant of rights, each ACC school gives ownership of its broadcast rights to the league in a deal with ESPN that runs through 2036. If a school breaks the deal, the ACC will continue to own the TV rights of any of that school's home games according to the contract. We've been over that at Peek Around the Corner. The ACC is the one that owns the individual media rights of all the ACC schools. The ACC options are quite limited, both from the group of 7 and the league as a whole. Number 1, seek additional revenue from the ESPN. This is a long shot given the network's current situation. ESPN, in the midst of the wave of personnel cuts, is also negotiating for deals with UFC, WWE, the NBA, and the Pac-12. While Commissioner Jim Phillips and a few ACC presidents met recently with the network over this issue, no significant cash infusion appears imminent. Succeed from the league. Some of the schools, possibly the most frustrated lot, such as FSU and Clemson, could pay the $120 million exit fee and hope they can break the grant of rights agreement that most attorneys, though maybe not their own, say is airtight. Then that leaves a very big question. Where do they go? The SEC and the Big Ten seem quite comfortable with their current membership, but potential Western realignment could trigger them to expand more. Right? That Western realignment could trigger them to expand more. Keep an eye on that. Create another league. If the 7 agree to dissolve the current grant of rights, we don't know yet if this is a possibility. And here at PATC, we have our doubts. But it's interesting, it's getting brought up here. 7 schools are meeting. Which 7 are they? We'll talk about that at the end of the article. I want to hear your thoughts and comments in the comments section below the video. If the 7 agree to dissolve the current grant of rights, we don't know yet if that's a possibility. They may add a couple more schools and begin their own association in hopes of being more lucrative. This comes with its own issues, of course. You need a broadcast partner or private equity fund to fund such an endeavor. As one official asked, will it really be that much more lucrative? Probably not. Basically, there are no easy answers. No one seems to really be blaming the current Commissioner Phillips. The lengthy ESPN contract was signed by his predecessor and has put the conference at a disadvantage to the Big Ten and the SEC, which signed the new deals somewhat recently for more heftier payouts. It's not a Jim Phillips thing. It's a revenue thing, one high-ranking official says. A fourth option for the league will be further explored this week, today, Monday through Wednesday. A change in revenue distribution model to a more merit-based system. Here at Peek Around the Corner, we don't think that's a solution. It doesn't solve the issue, the money gap between a Florida State and a Rutgers, a Florida State and a Mississippi State, a Clemson versus a Purdue. Doesn't solve the issue. Administrators have spent the last couple months discussing this festering issue. It has divided a conference that is less like-minded than most leagues in the country. That is very true. The ACC is a mix of all types of different universities. Unlike the Pac-12, where they're all large research universities, they have a commonality together. The ACC is not like that at all. Big football revenue generators like Florida State, Clemson, Miami, and even North Carolina group with the likes of Boston College, Syracuse, and Wake Forest. While a vote on revenue distribution model isn't expected this week, proposals are likely to be explored as university presidents are now examining the issue. And then this article goes on to talk about how Florida State and Michael Alford seem to publicly fire a warning shot at the rest of the conference. At the end of the day, for Florida State to compete nationally, something has to change moving forward. Alford told his board. We talked about all that in the previous episodes and live show here at Peek Around the Corner. Wow. Holy smokes. Things are really, yikes. We've been talking about this for months. The economics, the pressure of more consolidation hasn't relented. It keeps going and going and going. There's a battle going on between the Big 12 and the Pac-12. We've been covering that story every single day for months. Pac-12 is trying to get a media deal, but the ACC, that story is looming, and that's going to make everything look like child's play in comparison. But what's interesting in this article from Dellenger, he said that there was a subset of 7 ACC schools meeting for months. Who are those 7 schools? It wasn't mentioned in this article. Let me know what you think are the 7 schools that are meeting together. Obviously, there's a fracture in this conference, in the ACC. And is the theory of dissolution, where those 7 pick up another school? We have heard that Notre Dame would have a full vote in possible dissolution. Is that really a possibility? We've had our doubts here at Peek Around the Corner. And in this Ross Dellenger article, he even says basically we don't know if this is even plausible, really. But what if it was? What if it is? Put down your thoughts. Who are those 7 schools that are meeting behind closed doors? Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. Holy smokes. We're going to have to do a live show on this, just on this article alone. And we could pop up at any time. So hang with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Subscribe to our ever-growing channel, because I'm telling you, there's so much is going on. Holy smokes. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.